TOA community, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Robert Linkul, trainingtheolderadult.com. I wanted to share this video with you. This is one of my favorite human beings, one of my favorite educators, Peter Attia, and this is from his Instagram page. It's just a short little clip, but I wanted to do a little reaction to it with you, and just share a little, a little bit of my thoughts with it. So here we go.
Think people should fixate on is, how do I not be really frail, both physically and cognitively, in the last decade of my life, what I call the marginal decade? Because
So right out of the get-go, he's already talking about frailty, which is, if you've listened to some of my other videos, I just talked about special forces, and there was a political guy on there that made a comment about, how just with age comes frailty and that we should just accept it. And so Peter is a pretty big advocate for the idea that if you want to be a stud when you're 80, you need to be a stud when you're 50. And if you want to be a stud when you're 50, you've got to start becoming that person when you're 30. And so the work that you are putting in preemptively is going to assist you in the later years. And I saw this personally where for a very long period of time, 15 years, I was able to squat and deadlift and rack pull and train really my lower back and my lower half really efficiently. And I built big legs and a big back, and I built, some musculature that was great for throwing the hammer. Maybe not the most aesthetically pleasing because it was built for performance and not for symmetry, okay? Then I basically take off almost 10 years, okay? 7 years of not training really at all. And then when I do get back into training again and start to progress my body accordingly and don't have any more injuries, knock on wood, and things just kind of continue, I'm able to use the foundation that I had laid during those 15 years. And there was still progress and work and musculature there. There's a neuromuscular connection to the movement patterns that's still there. There's developed musculatures and binding sites that are still there. So even if you start when you're 30 and you have periods of time during the next 2 decades where you train pretty hard and then maybe you do take a little bit of time off here or there, to just say, well, by the time I'm 50, if I didn't train for 4 or 5 years, I was wasting my time. That's not really the case, okay? So this is a lifelong practice is my point.
I think most people would rather live to 90 and die of a heart attack while swimming in the ocean, but being, otherwise in remarkable shape, than live to 120 and spend the last 30 years of that unable to do much. I don't know.
Let's look at that one, okay? So I have many times mentioned I want my clients to go out with their boots on. And what we mean by that is you're 90 years old, you're out in the ocean, you're swimming, and heart attack dead, right? Like that to me is the warrior's death. Whatever the clean version of an honorable death is nowadays, that's it for me, okay? And the reason I say it that way, and what I'm suggesting by that is that you're not the second part of this, where he says from 90 until 120, yeah, you lived 30 more years, but you couldn't get out of bed. You couldn't go and experience anything. You were just alive, right? But you're not living. The difference here is from 70 to 90 or whenever, right? From now until 90, I'm able to live, I'm able to experience, I'm able to go and do things and skydive and bungee jump and rock climb and spelunk and scuba dive and whatever else, right? It doesn't have to all be adrenaline filled. I just mean you're going and doing things rather than, well, I'm bedridden, but I'm still alive, right? And you have decades of that. I would rather my clients go out with their boots on. I'd rather them be out on a vacation, a trip, this or that, and then heart attack dead, right? So we don't see them slowly fade away. And for those that are still left behind, the family members, the loved ones, etc., you start to see different people towards the end, especially if there's a disease or a sickness involved. You start to see different people. And I think that's where the damage can be done, because we have this image in our mind of who our loved ones are. In the last 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years of their life, they're in constant chronic pain, they're in misery. Their personalities change, their engagements with us change, and we see them slowly fade away into, in many cases, a miserable, unhappy, unengaged, former version of this person. And it's hard for us to get our minds back to who they were when we had so much time with them right towards the end of their life like this. So I would much rather my clients be 90, engaging, capable, doing all this, heart attack dead, than they live another 10 years, but we slowly watch them fade away into inability, cognitive loss, physical degeneration, and everything else that's just miserable experience for everybody, included that person.
If I'm going to live till I'm 85 or 90 or 80 or whatever. I mean, I don't feel like I have as much control over that. I think there are some elements of bad luck that factor into that. What I feel like I have much more control over is when I'm in my marginal decade, can I still go for a ruck? Will I carry 80 pounds on said ruck? No way, but I might be able to carry 10 or 20. When it comes to lipid management.
Okay, so to that's funny because I wouldn't prescribe an 80 or 90 pound ruck to anybody. Even if you're in the military, I'm like, that shit's crazy. That's so much weight. That's more than half your body weight for the majority of men out there. And that's way too heavy. Okay, that's way too heavy. I'm on a heavy day, I'm carrying 30% of my body weight. Okay, and that is 50 pounds for me. That's a heavy day, 55, okay? That's a heavy day. Most of the time, my regular rucking weight's 30 pounds. The whole point of rucking is not to carry massive amounts of load. It's to carry a moderate to light amount of load, long distances. You're going to add it. We've done this before where we add up every single step and every pound, right, that goes with it. If you're carrying 30 pounds, it's 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. Like every step, you're carrying and transitioning an extra 30 pounds all the way out for 5 miles, 4 miles, 3 miles, whatever it is. We're talking 10,000 steps, 15,000 steps, right, that somebody's putting in with that little bit of extra weight. That's the idea of rucking. So number one, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. Point being, though, is you could be rucking with 30, 40 pounds now. And by the time you're 80 or 85, still be taking 10 or 15 pounds out with you. That's what would be keeping your posture, your bone density, your musculature engaged, is continuing to do those rucks on a regular basis, right? And I love it that he uses that as the example. That makes me so happy that he uses that as the example because it's number one, it's a thing that I'm passionate and in love with. I love rucking. I do it 3 days a week. And I think if you can walk, you can ruck. And the benefits of rucking are massive. The benefits are massive. As long as you can walk safely and efficiently, you can ruck. And there's so many good things to have of that. So I just wanted to share this with you. He goes a little bit deeper into some, lipids and peptides and all this other stuff. But I really liked that in particular clip. He's got a great Instagram. If you haven't followed him, I would really encourage you to do so. Peter's the man, and he has a book called Outlive as well. That's a great read. I have the hard copy. I actually got a signed copy because I'm a super Uber fan. And he also has a audio version, which I also purchased because I wanted to hear him read it. And he tells a bunch of stories, and there's all these great downloads that come with it, etc. So you're looking for a really good read and something that takes all this medical, jargony kind of mindsets of things you hear other people talk about, and you're like, I just don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Peter is one of the best at breaking that down. I'd say Huberman does a great job of that as well, able to break it down to a point where the majority of individuals can understand it if they have a basic kinesiology background or even just a passion for being a fitness enthusiast. You can understand what these guys are talking about and practice and apply a lot of these things to your daily life or your client's daily life. So I hope you enjoyed this. Any comments, questions, feel free to hit me up down below in the comment section. Please like and subscribe, ring that bell, share any of this content with anybody out there. We'd really appreciate it. Help us grow our channel. And until next time, please continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.